All right, I think I have an idea. There's nothing on here today. This is a blank canvas board. Not sure what size it is, but it's big. Not big, it's medium, I guess. And I'm going to turn it into a landscape based on this reference photo. All right, here we go. So the first thing I want to do is I got two colors on here, red and yellow. Specifically, they are primary yellow, and that's the bottle, the tube, basic acrylic, that's what it's called, from Liquidex. And the other one is primary red. So two primary colors, and I'm going to use some Liquitex gel medium, and I'm going to mix the two together to get an orange undercoat. So I'm going to do that first. There's the medium. There's the medium. Oh, that's how you do it. Okay. Okay, now that I have the canvas painted with the complementary color of orange, and it seems to be dry, I'm going to take my blue and my white, and I'm going to mix them just enough to make it a light blue, and that's how we're going to start the sky. So I'm just going to start putting it down here, and then I'm going to put the camera down because I'm holding the camera in one hand and painting with the other. But you see what I'm doing? I'm just laying out the sky. I'm going to bring it down to about here, I think. So that'll be about where the horizon is. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just paint this, and I'll be back after that whole area is painted, okay? Okay, so now you can see that the top half is going to be the sky. I kept the brush strokes very visible. Some of the underpainting can still be seen. I'm not sure whether I'm going to paint over those spots or not. And of course, the bottom is not done yet. But you notice how the top is a little bit darker blue than toward the horizon. And kind of a hint of some clouds, or very thin clouds here and there. We back it up so you see the whole thing. And so that's the first step, well, second step after the underpainting. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more white. Now this is white, and this is actually gesso. That's not white paint, that's gesso. So I'm going to take a little bit of the white, mix it in a tiny bit with the blue, and just make the bottom a little bit lighter. And then I'll also put some hints of clouds up here. So that's what I'm doing there. So I'm going to add this to the horizon just to lighten it up a bit more, and then put some streaks of clouds going diagonally. I think it'll make it more interesting. It reflects also what's in the reference photo a little bit better. And by the way, I'm not trying to duplicate the reference photo. I'm just using it as a reference. Okay? All right. Let me do one hand with the camera, one hand with the brush. All right, let me turn this off. Okay, so now you can see how the sky has been made a little bit more interesting. It's a little lighter in shade here, and the hint of some wispy clouds up in the sky. Okay. All right, that's what we got so far. Okay, now I added a little bit of red to the paper plate palette, and the reason I did that is because I want to make a little bit of a violet color, a little bit of a purple. So I'm going to mix that together to get a little bit of a purple, and then we're going to lighten it with the white and try to get it, that looks kind of nice. So that's going to be that little mountain range that you see in the background on the reference photo. We want it to be just slightly darker than the sky, and I'm not going to try to duplicate the photo, by the way. Just going to paint this in here very lightly. I'll be back when I have it done. Okay, now you can see the sky with some distant mountains. It varies a little bit. It's not purely the same color all the way through. Got a little bit more blue over here, a little bit more violet over there. And that's because I didn't worry about it completely. And when I mixed it together, I just kind of brushed it in and, make it a little bit more defined right there. There we go. Now I could always adjust the colors later on, but I just want to put everything in place, and then we can adjust everything later on. All right, you notice I've added some yellow to the palette. That's because I want to make some dark green for the greenery that's in the background, but it is in the background, so we want to keep it very dark green. But see, now that looks blue-green, so what I'm going to do is add some red to that to make it darker. Not black. I'm adding a complementary color, which is red, to the green, and it comes out looking like that, very dark. So we're just going to add that to the background. And this is going to be that landmass that's back there. So I'm going to have to put the camera down, but the intent is to make a straight line there, and that'll be the tree line. All right, so now you see we got the sky, the distant mountains, and the mid-ground tree line. Now what we're going to do is add some water, and down here there's some land masses. So we're going to take this big old brush here and just rough it in, and then we'll fix it as we get deeper into the picture. Okay, I'm going to get the brush wet, get some water down here, and now that it's wet, I'm going to use some of this blue, and I'm going to mix it with some white, and I'm just going to brush it all over the place. All right, let me put the camera down. You'll see when it's done, okay? Okay, so now we have the setting. It's the sky, the mountains, the trees in the distance, and the water. Now, obviously, there's going to be things added on top of this, so it's a layer. This is a layer, and there will be other layers on top of it. So I have to let it dry, and I will do that with the camera off, so you don't got to wait for paint to dry. And this, hopefully, will start to look like a better composition, and that's what we want. Okay, so we got a few challenges. We got some trees that are going to go here, and we have some, there's an island here that the trees are growing from, or some kind of a peninsula, and then there's some foreground landmass here. I'm not sure what it is, rocks or something, and we'll add them all in as we get deeper into this video and deeper into the painting. Okay, so now what I want to do, I've added some more gesso. This is gesso here. This is not white paint. This is white paint. This is burnt umber, and I still have some blue left over. So I was looking at it, and I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but the water looks a little bit too greenish, a little too turquoise for me. And so I wanted it to be more the color of the sky. So I'm going to try to go over some of that with some light blue, and adding gesso to it is just a way to keep it more fluid so that I can work it for longer without it drying quickly. So I'm just going to add some of this. It's a little too white there. Just going to add another layer, I think, and I'll be back. Okay, that's a little closer to what I had in mind. It's got, you know, it varies. The water is not all one solid color like you're going to paint a wall. It's not a wall, it's a painting. And so I lightened that up a little bit. It's got a little bit green in there, probably because of the orange base layer that's coming through, which is okay. And so now I told you about the burnt umber, but I didn't tell you why I have put burnt umber there. Now I'm going to tell you. I want to paint in the land masses. Let me see, I got a brush down here to do that with. And this is going to be very super rough and it's dark. The land masses are not dark, they're light. But I want to start with this dark, and then bring up the landmass here and bring it out to about there. Yeah, just paint in that landmass because we're going to manipulate it a lot. Once we get it in there, we'll be able to add the trees to it and the areas that the light is hitting. So that looks like a little peninsula or some kind of a landmass that juts out into the water, or appears to jut out into the water. And then over here on the bottom, we're going to do the same thing. Just kind of add a landmass here. And again, let me put the phone, the camera down, phone, camera, whatever, and I'll finish this and I'll come back. That's what we have so far. So now you see we have the landmass there and the landmass there, and all they are is just blocked in. And I used the burnt umber, and I did mix in a little bit of yellow and a little bit of blue just to give it some variation and not be one block. But now we have another layer on top of the earlier layers, and it's starting to look like the painting that we're trying to make. All right, now let's try to put some of those rocks in there. So what I want to do for the rocks is I want to take this white and I want to mix it with this burnt umber and make it very, very light. Very, very light. And I'm just gonna add some rocks. Just everything is random here. And in the reference photo, there's a large rock right there. I chose not to put that one in here. So this is just me I'm dabbing it on. Now this would probably work better with the dry brush, so I'm gonna wait till the brush is dry. Well, I'll just keep working it until it gets dry. And then I'll be able to add some shadows, I think. And I'm gonna do the same thing over here, in this area over here. Give some light to the top of the landmass. Because don't forget, we're gonna have trees coming up over here. So, make some rocks. It's going to be very rocky, and right now it doesn't look rocky because we have to add the shadows still. But these are basically placeholders for the rocks that'll be in here. And the rocks, by the way, being bright as they are, they will be reflecting into the water, so we can go ahead and add some of that into there. Just some of that reflective stuff. And I'll add the black into it, or the dark blue, I'm not sure. No, I might use purple instead of black. We'll see what looks best. That's what it is. So you call your own shots in this game. You know, there are no hard fast rules, as you probably can tell. At least that's my thinking anyway. Okay, so now it's the brush is a lot drier. And now I'm able to use that dry brush technique. There it goes. Now I'm scrubbing it in, and I'm doing that intentionally. Okay, now here's going to be wet again, but you get the idea. We're going to make it look like rocks. The reference photo has a beach here, and there are people in it, but I think I'm going to avoid that. I just want to do the scene without people. Okay. All right, I'm going to turn the camera off and I'll be back after I've done dabbing all this in here. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just dabbing, really. And just putting some reflective surfaces. So when I come back, I'll tell you what I did, but I might add some yellow here too, just to give it some warmth. Okay, it doesn't look like rocks yet, but we're gonna work it until it does look like rocks. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just adding the touches. I want to show you how I was doing the rocks. I did try to add a little bit of yellow. I didn't like it, and I'm using black and white mostly for these rocks, and for these distant rocks over here too. Just kind of dabbing it in. The brush is not purely one color. This is the black I'm using, and this is the white I'm using, and I'm just graying it out a little bit and kind of putting the highlights, the white areas to the left. I'm imagining that's the direction the light's coming from. I don't really know, but I'm just gonna make it that way. I'm gonna make it that way in the painting. So we got just a little bit of white here and a little bit of black, and really just dabbing it in. I'm not too worried about these reflections. Every once in a while I'll touch the brush to the area that will be reflecting the light off of the landmass, but I'm not too worried about it right now. I can do that later. And there would probably be some kind of a water line that would be a little bit lighter. It might not be an artistic thing. That might be more of an illustrator thing. But it does work. It does create the illusion of an edge of water. And then this area would be the rocky foreground. So that's where we are right now. So I think that layer is more or less done. I might add or manipulate a little bit. And now, we got the trees that are going to happen here. Who knows? Maybe we'll put something over here to balance it out a little bit. Okay. All right, now let's do the fun part. This also could be the scary part. So I've added some more black here. And what I want to do is I want to mix black and yellow and blue. So there's yellow and blue, of course, make green, and the black makes it very, very dark green. And that's what I want. I want some very, very dark green. It's a little too light. I'm going to make it a little darker by adding some black to it. And here's the fun, scary part. Fun and scary, because I could mess everything up right now. All right, so I'm gonna have to put the camera down, but I want to show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a line. Let me just start one. And this is gonna be a tree. And this is gonna be another tree. And so let me just do one tree if I can while I'm holding the phone. And we'll just start to dab it in, okay? You see how that looks? This is very Bob Ross-ish, by the way. This is kind of one of the things Bob Ross would do, or some of the other TV guys that did art lessons. I don't end up like this, but this is a good way to begin, and then you could add the lights and the darks. And I'm going to put the camera down, but just trust me, I'm going to do a few of these lines here. I'm going to do a few of these trees, and I'm going to keep dabbing the paint so that we create these trees here. Okay? And I'll be back after. Let me see. So the bottom would be, of course, let me see if I can get the one tree sort of kind of sketched in there. And don't forget, this is a very impressionistic style. So we're not trying to create a photograph. We're trying to create an impressionistic painting. So let's make this tree taller. See, it's very impressionistic. And remember, there's a light source coming from some direction. We're going to imagine it's from the left. And so I'll put some light colors in there and some dark colors. But there's the beginning of the trees. And of course, we will have the reflection of the trees down here. Let me paint some of that in there. And I'll have to smudge it a bit. But I'm doing one hand with the camera, one hand with the brush. And so you see what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of pull it down and make it very reflective looking. And any mistake, by the way, is fixable. So that's the good thing about this too. So, okay. Just brush in that tree here. I'm going to put the phone down now, and I'll be back after I get all the trees in. That's what we have so far. So this is what we have so far. You might notice that I put the trees, well, you saw me started, and I did some reflections. And I also added some reflections to the distant trees into the water. And there's a few more things I want to add, like some white highlights, etc. Maybe some light green highlights in the trees. We'll see. We're going to play with this a little bit, but you can see the composition is coming together, and it's a pretty simple painting. But for the sake of making a video tutorial, I didn't want to do something that took a long time. So hopefully this helps anybody who wants to know sort of kind of how to do this. Okay. So what I did was I used this little brush, and I just pushed the paint around a little bit to fix some of the things that needed fixing. I added some lines here to create more of the illusion of water reflecting, and I added some more dark colors so that the trees were better reflected or better represented as reflecting. So this is what we have now. I think it's almost done. What I want to try adding some highlights to the sides of the trees, and that might be the end of this painting and this video. So what I'm gonna do, actually I'll just show you. I'll take the yellow and I'm gonna make it a very light green, and I'm gonna put it on some of these branches here, just so it looks like the sun is hitting it. I really should learn how to do video and paint at the same time. So, you see what I'm doing there? Just adding a little bit of light. The sun is coming down on it, and it's lighting up some of these branches on the sunny side of the tree. Okay, let me put the phone down and I'll finish that. That's what I'm doing. You can see it, right? Okay, so I added some of those yellows and those light greens, and I included it in the reflections, and I think we're done. I think that's the painting. And it is impressionistic, and it is a rather simple landscape. So I hope you like it. Okay, there it is. I'm not good with selfies. All right, thank you for watching, and if you like it, subscribe and hit the like. I think YouTube likes when you like, so it's a good thing. Hey, enjoy your life, have fun, don't take it too seriously. Well, take something seriously. Don't take painting too seriously. Just have fun, okay? All right, talk to you later.